years in this state-of-the-art Boys and Girls Club, number 2,000 Boys and Girls Club, I thought to myself, I see all that steel, I see all that cinder block work and electrical work and air conditioning work, and it takes about this much stuff to make a jail. It's about what it would take. And that's what we've been doing too much of in recent years. We've been using this kind of material and treasure to build jails to put our children in eventually. No other civilized nation in the world has as many people in jail as we have in jail. So we need more mentors. We need more places like this where the community comes together and says to the young people of the community, and especially in this neighborhood here, we care about you. Because you see, what these young people are seeing, not just a nice place to play basketball or in the computer room to run a software program. They don't see steel and cinder blocks alone. What they see are people who care about them. What they see are people who love them. What they see are people who have expectations of them and about them and will not let them fail. We do not have anything more important to do than to protect youngsters like this and put them on the road to success. The choice is very simple. We either build our children or we build more jails. It's time to stop building jails and get back to what we know how to do as Americans, and that's to build our children.
Welcome to the Gilchrist Experience. As you see, that's General Colin Powell talking about building up our children. What we need to stop doing is building jails, which you've seen several shows lately about the incarceration rate and how we're building what we're not doing with our children, and the methods of bringing our children back. Welcome to the show, IESHA SAKOU and KENDRELL.
KENDRELL LARSON.
KENDRELL?
LARSON.
Thank you. Well, Aisha, I see we've got a gentleman there leading the charge to taking care of our kids. And we just did a show in Manhattanville, and you've been on several times in the last weeks. I did a fundraiser Monday night for the Boys and Girls Club.
How'd that go?
The first this year, Studio Museum of Harlem.
Oh, great.
It was excellent. And Revolt TV is our sponsor, and they're going to put on 9 more events in Harlem, throughout Harlem.
Oh, wonderful.
So I'll let the public know. It's by invitation only. I have nothing to do with it.
Wonderful.
But they're sponsoring the Boys and Girls Club and Association. But tell us what's happening with the I Am Peace and the Street Corners Resources. I see you brought a gentleman, KENDRELL.
Yeah, sure. This is KENDRELL LARSON. And KENDRELL has been our intern at Street Corner Resources for a year. Yeah. And he's now our program specialist. And while we wait for funding, he is still volunteering his time, and we appreciate that. But I want to tell you a little bit about Street Corner Resources, and I'll let KENDRELL talk about himself. Our organization was founded in 2005. We became a 501c3 in 2007. We initially started out with the intent to provide education, employment, and training and other resources in the community. While we were providing those resources, let me go back. We wanted to make sure that those resources were accessible, particularly mobilely accessible. We haven't, to date, haven't gotten a mobile unit yet. Our plan is to secure it, and it looks like we're going to get funded for that mobile unit. All of those services will be provided off of the mobile unit. So we'd actually go into communities on a mobile bus that will have wireless laptops that will provide resources and referrals to those resources that the community needs. But what we found as we were engaging community members, we found that young people were becoming more and more involved in gun and gang violence. And that gun and gang violence was leading to a significant amount of murders in our community. and an increase, a large increase in incarceration, because young people were not just pulling triggers. I mean, not only participating in getting guns, but they were pulling triggers. And because of that, we had a large number of young people incarcerated. We just recently, we recently saw 106 young people picked up and taken in on a major indictment. And, we're really concerned about that. Street Corner Resources has also been at the forefront of really trying to eliminate gun and gang violence in a lot of different ways. And we know that we can't stop it all, but what we do know is that we can help change the mindset that creates the behavior to pull the trigger. And if we help to change that mindset, one kid at a time, even though we have them in groups, we have different situations with our young people. We have different things that are accessible to our young people, and we want to make it so that young people become the ones that take the message to other young people to say that they can live a different kind of life. So we provide workshops in public schools. We're really proud of that. Workshops on critical decision making, workshops on life enhancement, giving them an opportunity to look at their talents and use their talents to bring peace, and not just peace in the community, but peace within. And we also have a music studio at Harlem Renaissance High School. We're particularly proud of that. The City Council did fund that studio last year for $300,000 for a new build out. So we're looking forward to a brand new music studio where we create peace-driven music. And then a big part of this is that we know that violence is a mental health issue as well. And I'm not going to say, some want you to say that it's always that. But there are a number of issues that are systemic to the violence. And we try to look at those issues and refer our young people as needed to the places where they can get help. And one of the things that I'm proud of as well is the relationship that we have with the National Action Network, Youth Move Huddle, where we also encourage young people that are involved with Street Corner Resources, I Am Peace Movement, to also be a part of the huddle, and vice versa. That it's hand in hand, that we have a collaborative relationship, that the I Am Peace Movement can be any organization, and young people from anywhere promoting peace. So we're really excited about that.
We ran a piece last week of the nurse giving a testimony about her being exposed to mean nurses and all this struggle with her health, and she wound up hearing the voice of God to tell her to be a nurse, and she came on the program.
Yeah, she was at the huddle.
This is every Monday at the National Action Network, which is 106 West 145th Street, where for me, I live stream the whole thing so the world can see it. But it's actually church for me.
That's what a lot of people say. It's kind of like church.
It is church.
And not necessarily just a...
Well, it's Reverend Sharpton.
Yeah.
Disciple of Martin Luther King. I mean, this is true. I mean, people can say what they want, but I've been around 16 years, and I know for me, he's a disciple of Martin Luther King. And he's following in his footsteps and leads the way in how to improve yourself. Because he's been there. And he's done that. And he knows what not to do. You see his weight, he's brought his weight down. He's gotten rid of diabetes, I think, to some extent. All right? And he's changed his ways. He was just on this morning talking about, and he's the one that can change, you can change from what you used to say to what you are now.
That's right.
All right? So we also have Victoria Pennell coming in. But let me run this piece from Manhattanville with a young lady that we interviewed.
Absolutely.
Just
a week ago.
Yeah, a week ago. And this is from our Manhattanville Center. And this is a beautiful, shy young lady, and we're sort of bringing people out of their shells by putting them on television to show them what they appear to be to other people. So run the clip and we'll be right back at you. All right? Thank you.
What kind of things, Lord, everybody's trying to talk later.
Now you're on. Go ahead. Give us your name again.
Emerald Jean. Yeah, you said you are multi-talented. Yeah,
look up.
I'm shy.
All right. Tell us what you like to do. You said right.
I could rap, I could dance, I could sing, I could do gynecology.
You know how to do hair.
Yeah.
docs?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe in business.
I have to do everything.
How can you sing
I
and be
have to.
shy?
I just get it to everything.
Okay. So what makes you, what's this shy thing? You can do all these things. What's this shy?
I don't know. I'm just shy. I don't like speaking around people. I don't like when I go.
So what we gonna do when you get famous with all that money?
People? Huh?
How we gonna get to the money?
Get into it. Wait, are you asking me to share my money?
No, I'm asking you how you gonna get to make it. Before, you can't share it till you make it.
I'm starting my own nonprofit organization.
Talk to the camera.
I want to start my own nonprofit organization.
You want to sort?
Talk to the camera like you're talking to somebody that can help you do that.
I don't know how.
You're doing just fine. So you're gonna start your own not-for-profit organization, leave her alone. No. And stop for a second. So she didn't do that while you were talking.
Yeah, they go.
Right.
Yeah, I do.
So what would your organization do?
I want to help homeless people.
Help other people do what?
I want to help homeless people like have a place to live and their children can learn and stuff like that.
Wonderful.
How old are you?
I'm 17.
If they want to go, let them go because they're being disruptive. It's a distraction.
Yeah, I can go, but we need to chill out. We need to chill out.
There's a classic example of, now this is Manhattanville, where we just had this bus at, 103 people.
106 young people, with the majority of them under 18 years old.
So we went to Manhattanville, this is the Boys and Girls Club, which we just had a fundraiser Monday night. And the whole point is that we're bringing you people that we're trying to mentor and bring out of their shell. And we have a couple other youngsters with us today. One of our stars is Victoria Pennell. We watched her grow, and she's bloomed. She's getting taller by the second. She's hitting me up here now. Welcome to the show, Victoria. How you doing,
Thank you. I'm great. How are you?
Good. How are things? Anything new?
Well, no, it's just working with the National Action Network New York City chapter, Youth Move. We're planning a couple events. First off, National ID Day is we're taking a group of young people, or just anybody who wants to go, but specifically the young people. We're going to take them to the DMV office to get their New York State non-driver's ID license, which is really important, not only just because you want to identify yourself, but when you're traveling, or, it's always good to have it on you just in case. You know, you never know, really, so it's best, you can identify yourself that way, and it's just easier. It's always better to have it on you. A Clean Up the Streets Day, where, we take a couple of New York City blocks and we clean them up, because the better your environment is, the more proud you are to say, I'm from here, and it makes you, and it impacts your actions. It makes you, in a positive way, it makes you want to do better for your community when you see your, your streets are clean. And so we have a lot of stuff coming up. Especially, not just for young people, but for the older people as well. We're going to have a civil rights movie night, probably every,
we're going to do that again?
Right, every 2 weeks this time, because the summertime is coming up.
Okay, great.
Where we show different, civil rights movies, and a lot of kids can learn, through movies, and grown adults as well. And so that's what's coming up, and we're really, really excited. So keep you informed.
Yeah, I just taped the American Experience last night, from the '64 movement, summer of '64. And it's very interesting. I was alive and well and working at a bank at the time, Chase Manhattan Bank, down on Wall Street. And it's amazing how you go back in history and see what actually happened. We didn't know exactly what was going on. We knew a bunch of kids were down there, trying to get people a chance to vote. But when you get into the interworkings of what actually occurred, man, and to be alive and luckily up here in New York, to realize how fortunate we are to have the wonderful people that came down and exposed themselves to death and injury and all the other stuff to fight for the rights of people who are being abused. So we're doing the same thing this summer in '64 Reverend Sharpton, right?
Right. And a lot of our young people really don't know, you know, our history. And if they knew how much people fought for them to be in the position they're in, to have an education, to walk down the street without, you know, I mean, it's our ancestors have done so much for us to be where we're at right now, and I feel like if our young people knew more about what they've done for us, they would want to live up to that, because our ancestors had expectations for the future generations, and we're not living up to that right now. So I feel like by showing these films and by showing, you know, what our ancestors went through, the fight, you know, that they had to fight, it's amazing how much they've done for us, and we have to live up to that.
And in this piece, they show Fannie Lou Hamer and the convention, and talking about how they put her in this cell and had a Bubba coming in, beat on her all night. I mean, the woman went through hell, and how she, you know, just to get the right to vote. And here we're abusing the right now. Here it's 50 years later, and people say, "Oh, why should I vote? It don't mean nothing." And to see what people sacrifice, and the white people went down there and were killed and abused, and it was just a warped sense of Southern superiority, you know, the Klan, and it's amazing how it still exists today. Look how they're treating our president, just because he's black. So, but black people themselves still have a problem dealing with each other, as we know with these gang wars and all this other stuff. And I understand you're going to John Jay, and you're working on your master's, so you're an example of what a young black man is supposed to be doing, right? And you come here, and it's your first time on television, right?
Yeah, it's my first time.
And you're nervous as hell, aren't you?
Kind of.
But he's wonderful.
Relax, you're home. You're with us, man. Just relax. Tell us about yourself, Kendrell.
Well, basically, I interned for Street Corner Resources, and I was put into a program through a dispute resolution program at John Jay. So basically, I got my certificate in dispute resolution last year. And
dispute resolution.
Yeah.
What is that?
Like conflict resolution.
Yeah, basically the process, it teaches you about mediation, critical thinking skills, how to like mediate disputes between people, and basically that went along with my criminology degree that I got a BA in. And then after that, I decided that I basically wanted to get my master's. So I thought like, where was the best place I could just go to, right? So I decided to do a master's in public administration, and that would give me like a better sense of like what government is and like issues and like ethical decision making.
What drove you to all this? Were you exposed to gang violence when you were a kid? I mean, well, when you were younger?
When I was younger, I was kind of like, I had a weird like childhood because I was basically sheltered, but I wasn't sheltered at the same time. So
where were you raised?
In Washington Heights.
In Washington Heights. Well, you were exposed to the hoods.
Yeah, like when I was growing up, it was like my parents didn't want me to do, you know, stuff that a lot of kids over there did, like smoke weed and, you know, fight on the basketball courts. And so they decided like to basically kind of spoil me. But also they allowed me some freedom. Like I got to play on football teams such as the Harlem Jaguars and Bronx Invaders. And that's where I experienced where some of this gang violence and stuff happened. Because basically a lot of kids on my team, they didn't have money to actually be on the team. And there was this bad thing such as like kids like robbing other kids, and like kids couldn't make it to the football field because they didn't have enough money, so they would take cabs and just like when the cab driver just wanted his money, they would just like punch him in the face and just run. So like I got to see some of this stuff, and some of the kids would take like ecstasy before they start like playing football. So like I was very exposed to some of this stuff, and like basically all the kids I grew up with, like a lot of them didn't end up going to school, and ended up dropping out. Like I saw my best friend from like childhood the other day, and basically I think he's smoking crack. Like I didn't.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah, he grew up in an abusive household.
Wow.
Like I remember one time we was at his house and we was just playing, you know, we had video games, GameCube and stuff like that, and one day he's just like, "Oh, you guys gotta leave." And I'm just like, "Why?" He says, my father, like, he's an alcoholic, and my mother, she's working, so like we had to leave that day. But like a lot of times I try to console him by like playing cards with him and stuff like that, but like every time we went to school he would just stay there crying, and like it's like, what can you do for somebody like in this situation? Because his mother was a good person, it's just that I don't know, she just needed a man at her side at all times, but like he was a bad alcoholic and I think he beat them and stuff like that.
Ooh.
But at that time I was very young, so it wasn't much I could, you know, really do about some of these things. And then,
so you grew up with all the trials and tribulations of being black in America.
yeah.
Really, with all the... See, because being black, a certain psychology or psychosis develops when you're not able to handle all these abuses that come your way. Like any other human, of course, but I think it's exceptionally hard for black men because we're targets for planned genocide, which young people don't even understand what's up. Yeah. And you'll see this American experience, how from the vote in 1964, you know, I was 23 in 64, all right? So I was grown, had been through the Marine Corps, and I was working for Chase Manhattan Bank. So I was in dreamland. Right. Account executive development program. I was in Pace College. I mean, had a dream job. And you know, I look at this film, and down in Mississippi, people have been shot just to get the right to vote. You know, and like when I was in the Marine Corps, I came out of boot camp and couldn't get anything. I couldn't get a beer with the rest of the guys, and I was just amazed how it was down there. I being the same age as Emmett Till, all right? But I'm in New York. So, I mean, that vast difference of worlds, really, is fascinating. Like you were fortunate to have a parent. Well, parents that sheltered you away from all this stuff. So you come out at 23, having seen all this stuff, you knew better not to do it. Yes. Because but these other people had parents that weren't as caring or loving or fortunate as your parents were. Yeah. So you now want to give back to the community? Is that what it is to you? For you?
I do want to give back to the community, but
because you feel blessed.
Yeah, blessed. I still feel like there's like a glass ceiling as being a black man, because like as my like experience through John Jay, like even as you start getting to like the senior years, like you see less and less black men in classes.
Yeah,
like, in my senior year, I could probably say in all my classes I was the only black male in these classes.
Oh, wow.
So it was just like, I even had one professor, I won't name him, but he actually told me, you know, Kendrell, is a good thing, like, you're an honor student and that, like, you actually you made it here, and, like, not a lot of black men, you know, make it to this level. So, like, not only I realize it, but, like, also other people realize it, that, like, you can even, like, as a black man, you could talk to somebody, but, like, they'll have, like, a stereotype about you when you're actually talking to them, until they actually see how you speak to them. And then they'll be like, oh, you know, he's pretty decent or something like that. But there's already, it's like you can walk the streets, but like you're already prejudged, and I found that like a big problem. Right. Yeah.
I had that problem when I was a kid. You know, when I was younger, because I was only, well, especially in the Marine Corps. Wherever I went, I was only black. I'm talking about, I was in the Marine Corps from 60 to 64. All right, so being the only black in situations really can be, you know, I think educational. Really, because they look at you and judge an entire race by what you do. And it's weird. And it's weird. Because I never had a self-esteem issue. Because I grew up in an era where, you know, I was loved by my mother and father and a big family. And as we grow and we see that everybody's not the same, you sort of develop any kind of, well, that's my story, but we're talking about you. Yeah. I always relate to myself because it's always a reflection of what it comes during the different eras. Victoria, tell us something about your struggle with being a young lady in this environment. My goodness.
African-American female.
I must say, I'm truly blessed to be in the household that I'm in. My mom is she's a single parent, but she raises me as if she were two. And so I'm blessed to have the village that I have. Miss IESHA, Mama Shasha Shakta Christian, and Lamar Thornton. I have a big village, and it's a true statement. It takes a village to raise a child. and we're lacking that these days. And I guess that's why I turned out, you know, pretty okay. You know, I had a mom, you know, who was hard on me, but I also
and
had.
you're just starting.
Right, but I also have a village to support me, who's always there if I need, you know, somebody to talk to. If I have something going on with school, I know I can always come to Miss Aisha and talk to her about it, or you know, my godmother, or you know, I have such a strong village. And I guess we're not, young people don't have that experience these days. Young people don't know what it feels like, you know, to be able to talk to somebody. They don't know how it feels to have a mentor. These days the word mentor is so overrated and outused, and it you know, it doesn't have any true meaning anymore to be a mentor. I'm lucky to say that I have true mentors who I can call at 12 o'clock at night and it will answer the phone, and you know, I can cry to, I can, you know, laugh with, and it's what young people are lacking these days, somebody to depend on, somebody to fall back on when they're not feeling strong enough to stand on their own. And I feel like that's why, you know, that's why the huddle is important. You know, street corner resources, right? Street corner resources is important. New York City Youth Move is important because you have these places that are providing, you know, that village for young people who really need it. That's why, you know, it's great to be, you know, to see Reverend Sharpton and what he does for so many young people. You know, a lot of Saturdays we have young people from the huddle get up and speak, and you know, they share how you know, they share how the huddle has impacted their life and how they've changed from when they're before the huddle and now after the huddle. And so Reverend Sharpton gives young people a platform, and that is the type of village that, you know, that used to happen in the back, you know, back in the day. That was what it was like. You know, you can always walk down the street and say, you know, there's my neighbor, I better watch what I'm doing, but you know, you always had that support system behind you, and young people are lacking that.
Yeah, well, everybody should know that any Saturday that you're available, you can come to National Action Network. Again, it's 106
9 o'clock in the
West
morning.
145th Street, and come to my church. I don't care what nobody said. It's my church. Now, I'm Minister Winston Gilchrist, all right? Now, my hood, because I've been there for 16 years now, and I've watched everything grow, and it's just to watch Reverend Sharpton. I love him to death, man. That's my man. And you feel the spiritual energy coming in, and it's just love energy, man. Here's a man that's going through, you've watched him grow for the last 16 years, and he's come a long way. He's just turning 60 this year. So, you know, everything is just opening up. I mean, a man who can speak to the president and be friendly with, So, we're in a good environment, and it's a big village, and everyone should know that. And especially the Boys and Girls Club of Harlem, which we're just developing now. We're going to put a new building on 145th Street. And I want to take you to the fundraiser that we had Monday night at the Studio Museum of Harlem. And I want you to hear some old-time singing from a young man. And I was so impressed with this young man. I was looking for a hip-hopper or something. But this Revolt TV, which is Sean Cohen's organization.
Sean Puffy Combs?
Sean Puffy Combs.
Okay, great.
And they're supporting the Boys and Girls Club of Harlem. So we'll have many more village. We'll have a bigger village. We're building up here. And I'm on the board of directors of the Boys and Girls Club. So we're going to develop programs like, we have all the resources of all us around us. So we're building a big, huge village. All right?
It's going to be wonderful.
Second, a round of applause if you're here to support a good cause. One more round of applause if you're a fan of Revolt TV. Televised right now, I think right there. And of course, if you're here to hear the very talented Mr. Luke James. One final round of applause.
All right, I'm going to interrupt. I'm sorry. There's a short presentation that some of the boys and girls in the club is going to make, and then we'll bring out Luke James. Sorry to tease you like that.
Yeah, earlier tonight, ended about 3:30, 4 o'clock. I was outside, and there were two young kids. I just was chatting them up. They were so engaging. They were very smart. And little did I know that they're going to give a little presentation tonight. So we're going to give Luke James a lot of love, but we know we're going to give two Harlem Boys and Girls Club a big round of applause right now. So we're going to kick it off, ladies and gentlemen, with Jada and Chris John with a little presentation.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jada Graham. I'm 10 years old. I I've been attending the Boys and Girls Club of Harlem for 5 years. I've learned how to eat healthy, stay fit, and write short skits through programs like Drama Matters and Healthy Habits. Here at the Boys and Girls Club, we do fun activities like play tennis, go see the one and only Rockettes, and learn more about African art and culture. Programs like the Boys and Girls Club of Harlem are important because they teach kids manners, respect, and just to be yourself no matter what. Without your generous support, programs like the Boys and Girls Club wouldn't be possible. And for that, we thank you.
Hi, I'm Christian Salisbury, and I've been in the Boys and Girls Club for almost 5 years. I'm going to the 5th grade now. I am 11 years old, and sometimes in the Boys and Girls Club, we learn about programs like Passport to Manhood and tennis. Passport to Manhood teaches us about a boy becoming a man. And in tennis, it teaches us about sportsmanship and teamwork. Thank you for coming, and have a wonderful evening.
Let's hear it for him. Young man, you dress yourself, don't you? Look at him, he's clean, right? Let's give it up for Jada and Chris Young. And now we're going to turn it back over to Revolt TV with the introduction, Luke James. Here we go.
He began his career singing background for Tyrese and went on to write songs for the likes of Justin Bieber, Chris Brown, and Britney Spears. Since then, he has steadily rose and created a buzz, becoming the opening act for Beyonce's Miss Carter Show World Tour, to a Grammy nomination, to co-starring in the holiday movie Black Nativity, as well as winning the 2013 Soul Train-centric award. His new single, Options, features Rick Ross and is off his self-entitled debut album, Luke James, which is out on September 23rd. Please join me in giving a warm, warm round of applause for the very talented Mr. Luke James.
Hello, my name is Luke, and I'd like to do a couple tunes for you. I'm just delighted to be here and to support such a great cause. I'm not quite sure if I was part of the Boys and Girls Club, but I wish I was. I might have been too bad for that, but you know, I'm from New Orleans. It's a product of my environment, and it happens. But shouts out to New Orleans. If anybody in there, okay, thank you so much. Let's warm up for a moment. Hey pretty baby with the high heels on, you give me fever like I never ever known. Girl, I've been watching. Hey pretty baby with the high heels on, you give me fever like I never ever known. No, I never known. Never know. Never know. Never know. The way you make me feel really turns me on. You knock me off of my feet now, baby. Lonely days are gone. Now the way you make me feel, oh, yeah, really Yeah. Oh, the mic sounds nice. Thank you. I want to do a tune for you.
See, that's my kind of. Hey, that's just old school. I mean, instead of huffing and hating and M this and MF that and calling girls out of their name, and you
don't hear it often. You really don't.
That's the way you do it, man. That's the way we did it.
It took you back in the day.
Hey, I said, what? I got a young man singing, man, and swooning the girls. See Victoria was swooning? You were too. That's
I was like, okay.
But see, I mean, this is the kind of stuff we need to see. And it's great that Revolt TV, this is puffy now. I mean, this is style and class, man.
And it's wonderful.
And it's bringing us up to our energy level. We used to teach the planet how to love. I remember when I was coming up, man, we would have, everybody came running to us. We were the one with the biggest problems, and everybody, oh, you're black and you're happy? You're supposed to be miserable. You know, I always had a happy feeling about stuff. And people, racism, I was just amazed that white people sat in the sun to try to get my color. And I was constantly trying to get my mother's color, because she was, of course. And that's why you constantly see me in the sun. That's my addiction, to get my mother's color, because she was a rich brown. It was always pretty. And whenever I went in the sun, I got, oh, look at the suntan. And so I'm still addicted at 73. So, but that was fun for me, Monday night. But this is the kind of stuff I think young blacks, and I think young people, period, should be doing.
Oh, yeah.
Enjoying themselves and talking about love energy instead of hate with the rap songs. It's just so, it takes away from your love energy.
Absolutely. I think one of the great things was when we were over at the Boys and Girls Club.
Manhattanville?
Was at Manhattanville. That young people there were engaged in a number of different things. But the group that we had were engaged at that point. Besides talking with us, they were there for basketball. But that young lady who opened, she was there talking about her business of doing hair, and she wanted to also take care of people. And I think that, for the most part, like Victoria and like Kendrell, our young people want something greater and better. And our job as the adults is to help them to find that. And, you know, I just love when I hear Victoria talk about her circle of influence outside of her circle of influence, those people who surround her, her go-to people, that it's always great for young people to have their elders that they can go to and they get solid advice, or they get a listening ear, or someone who's can be objective enough to say, okay, well, let's look at both sides. And there are a lot of young people who are missing that. And so I think the Boys and Girls Club, just like the Huddle, just like Street Corner Resources, when we're inside the schools, we all provide some sense of belonging for young people.
The village
and
that you need.
that village. And we have to keep creating that, and we have to know also that organizations don't have to be in competition. That there are enough young people out here who need our help, who need our support, who need people to go to, that we don't have to compete. And I see too much of that with the smaller organizations. And I'm beginning to see the reason why there's not the greater growth is because everyone's trying to duplicate what the other one is doing, as opposed to doing what they do and do that well, and then find ways to support each other, show up and be there for each other, and continue to build. So I just want to make sure I say that.
And I think that's why, you know, organizations and programs such as Street Corner Races and Youth Move Huddle, they're so important, because at the end of the day, young people just want to feel like they belong to something. That's why they join gangs, because when you join a gang, you know, you feel like you have a family, you know, you feel that, you know, that support. But it's really, you know, it's not strong, but that's why, you know, young people, that's why they do the things they do, because they just want to feel like they belong to something, like they're a part of something, like they have somebody to fall back on, you know, and you know, that's why there's so much gang activity. That's why, you know, gangs are at an all-time high because of that. And so that's why when I see young people go to the huddle and they just share, you know, not only their problems, but, you know, just the great things that happen to them. Like, we have a part of the Youth Move huddle where, you know, we say, has anything happened to you this week that you just want to share? You know, whether you went from a C to a B on, you know, your report card or a test, or, you know, anything great just happened to you, and then give young people a chance to express themselves and to feel like they really have a true family, in which they do. And, you know, and that's why these programs are so great. And I think, you know, it's a really powerful feeling, you know, to see a young person walk in one way and leave out the door another way. You know, we've seen so many, you know, young people just walk in messed up, you know, not even talking, just shy, and when they leave, you know, they can't stop talking. They're just going and going and going, because it's a great feeling to feel like you belong to something. It makes you want to open up. It's just like a family, and that's why they're, you know, Street Corner Resources Huddle, New York City Youth Move are so important, because it does provide that feeling of a family.
Well, I just like to make it a point to show the young ladies out there what a treat it is to watch you grow up, Victoria. I mean, it's really, it really is a treat for me. And you're showing other young ladies what they're supposed to be like. And thank you for coming today and giving us a good example of what you can get through the mess and see all the wrongs and come out right.
Yeah, no problem.
What do you contribute that to, your parents, or just your own good sense of paying attention? Or maybe
the first people I would, basically my parents I would start with first, because my mother let me know that, you know, no matter, like, she didn't care, like, if I went to school or not, but
what did you do bad in life that she set you straight?
Set me straight.
Were you a hard-headed one time?
I can't say I was really hard-headed, but I was more like a sensitive kid.
The what?
A sensitive.
Okay.
So meaning like I had some form of like passiveness, like I wouldn't want to do things or stuff like that. So like she really motivated me to let me know that like whatever I wanted to do, that I could do it, and that even if I didn't choose school, she would always support me. And my father let me know that.
Did you suffer from any lack of self-esteem being black?
Self-esteem? As a kid, I really didn't know race until like middle school.
Okay.
And that was the first time, I don't like getting into subjects, but like I got called the N-word for the first time.
Right.
And like,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I really didn't understand what the word meant until
okay.
like, yeah, so like, it didn't offend me, and it really doesn't offend me now, because I feel like you have to be so confident in yourself that words won't affect you.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So, yeah, basically I attribute it to my mother, my father. He was a working man. He worked at a parking garage his whole life.
Okay.
Basically, he had a lot of problems in his family, but he still supported me for whatever I did.
Okay.
And another person I would like to really say helped me was my high school teachers, because I went to Manhattan Village Academy, and these teachers, they really cared for us. Like, if we were failing, they wouldn't like let up on us. They would really let us know that we had to do something and we had to go somewhere. Yeah. I always remember there was one time that the teachers, they forced us, even though we didn't want to, but they made us do like a dream board and made us know like where we was going in life, like what we wanted to like achieve. And like, it really made me think that there was actually something more out there than just like, you know, Washington Heights. You know, there's actually more that you can actually do. So like, I didn't really think about being part of like, you know, John Jay or being part of law enforcement or something like that. Like, I actually put all this stuff on the board and like saw that like this stuff is attainable if you really need to get there. And you know, the teachers, they watched and they supported us, so they let us go on like a college trip. So we went upstate and we saw different colleges, and they let us know that we could obtain all of this. So that really changed my way of thinking, that there's just more than Manhattan and stuff like that. Like they try to really say like, if you keep going to school and you keep working hard, that you'll actually make it somewhere. And when I went to John Jay, like I really didn't know too much about college. So when I actually went to John Jay, it was like a new world to me. Yeah. And like, even though I was probably scared at first, but after you start getting into it, it's like, you'll know what you want to do. And that started from high school. They let me know like, what did you actually want to do when you go to college?
If your buddy's watching you now, the one that smokes crack, what would you say to him? How would he get out of that mess that he's in?
I think, I wouldn't want to say pull yourself on your bootstraps, but I really think that like, he would need to really just get help for himself, because I think he also has a future, and he's still a young man. He's the same age as me, 23. Okay. So he still has a long life to live. So like, I feel like if he went to go get help, and actually just say maybe I'm gonna go back to school, because I don't think he finished high school. If he went back to school, that maybe he could help himself, you know, become better.
So that's what leads to all these other problems, especially when you're a young man and you can't find work and you're not even looking for work, you're hung up on whatever drugs. Well, drugs have always been out there. They're going to snatch up people always. And we sit here as an example. You know, I went to the drug scene at a time that you could, I mean, that's the 60s. But I don't know if I could survive. Well, never mind, me again. But
a lot of our
I'm sorry.
He was just saying something that I think is absolutely true. He was just saying that a lot of our, you know, he learned that there was more than just Manhattan. A lot of our young people are not exposed to better, so they can't want it if they don't know what better looks like.
Right.
You know, so a lot of our young people, they haven't even been outside of Manhattan. They don't know anything other than Harlem. And we have to start exposing our young people to better. We have to start taking them on college trips. We have to start showing them what they could have so they could start wanting that, because you can't want it unless you know what you really want, you know? And so my mom, she used to take me and a couple of my friends from my karate school on college trips. We went, you know, we saw, you know, universities, and it was so amazing to see, you know, what we could have, you know, going to college. We saw people going to their dorm rooms, and it was just that college experience was amazing. And, you know, I've been, you know, to, you know, Atlanta, just seeing civil rights places, and it's amazing. But when you're exposed to better, that makes you want to do better. And so we have to start showing young people that, you know, there's more than just Harlem, there's more than just New York. You have a whole world ahead of you that, you know, that's just waiting for you to just look at it and to just embrace it. And, you know, we have to start really picking up our young people and say, you know, look what you have so much more than, you know, what's in front of you right now.
Right.
And you're all of 15 now, aren't you?
I'll be 15. I'll be 15 in a couple of days, yeah.
You know, Mr. Gilchrist, I want to say something about what Victoria said. You know, it is evidence-based. A lot of what we do is evidence-based, that if young people who are actively engaged in their community, in learning new things, in traveling, in going to college, actively engaged by community members, meaning, you know, the guy who works in the store will say something either uplifting or validating, or the teacher will have something good to say. You know, young people engaged and validated are less likely to commit crime. And so I think when we talk about the violence in our community and what's happening in our community, we have to look at what did we not do? What is not happening? You know, we have all these talking heads. I just got an email today about another committee. And we set up a committee at the National Action Network called VEPIC, Violence Elimination Prevention and Intervention Committee. And then I see that, you know, there's a councilperson that's also setting up a committee. And that's wonderful. We can become a bunch of talking heads. And I think that we've done a lot of that, talked a lot about the problem. It is time to put money and resources and people in the community who will engage, validate, teach, and uplift our youth and bring them to the place where they see that they have possibility, like both Victoria and KENDRELL and a whole host of other young people that we see in the community. If we continue to just talk about the problem will continue to persist. And lastly, I want to say, with that big takedown, I had an opportunity to have a dialogue with our District Attorney, Cy Vance, and I won't say everything that was said in that dialogue on television, but one of the things that I did share with him that was a concern of mine was the number of young people that may not have had serious charges but kind of got swept into that. And one of the things that he did say was that he, you know, of course he can't talk about individual cases, but that those young people were not engaged. They were just kind of left to run amok and be involved in stuff and hang out with the wrong people, and that, you know, if they have the right kind of help, that they can get out of those situations. What I say is that we can't let our kids get caught up in that anymore.
That's right.
That's not an opportunity. We watched the number of young people involved in takedowns not decrease, but increase. It went from 15 some years ago to now 106 young people arrested, all under the age of 18. Most under the age of 18, I'll say most. And 3 are juveniles serving the time right now in the juvenile facility, or waiting for their final conviction in juvenile facilities. And while the city is boasting that this is the biggest takedown, I will not stop saying that it is the biggest embarrassment, because 10 years ago when we went into the street to do anti-violence work, that those young people were 8, 9, and 11 years old. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's no place for us to stick our chest out, to be proud that this number of young people have been taken down. What we should say is that we were remiss in our responsibility, and that we need to be held accountable as community members and parents and people who are caretakers of young people, and look at what is missing and make sure that we provide what is needed from this point out, and that we need to flood those areas where we know that violence is rampant and that engagement in gangs is major. You know, everybody's running around talking about these news articles that are coming out that these kids want to be gang members.
Yeah, that's
we talked about that last week. We know that kids really don't want to be gang members, that they really want to be engaged, they really want to feel good, and that we need to make sure that we create that in our community and not allow people to create the image of our young people as wannabe killers and gangbangers, because we know that that's not the truth.
Well, you know, even in my day, they used to draft you in the gang. You know, I was drafted into the Egyptian Kings when I was a kid.
Right.
I was on Amsterdam Avenue, you know, and I'm sure that's still happening today. I mean, have you ever been approached to become part of a gang?
I wouldn't say so much of a gang, but like maybe a specific gang, but maybe a group of boys. Yeah, something like that, you know. They always want to, you know, add to their groups, you know. There's more power to the groups the more they add.
You went out and caused havoc?
Yeah.
Well, that's a gang.
Yeah.
I mean, me and my boys on the block, we are, you know.
Yeah.
But again, our young people will fill the space where they are allowed to. So if there are activities when they go outside their door, like the Boys and Girls Club,
Street Resources,
Street Corner Resources, like the Huddle, National Action Network Youth Move Huddle, and other activities, Kashinda, the New Breed, Life Arts. I was talking with him last night about working together to provide that kind of training that he provides in terms of martial arts and being safe. If young people had these resources available to them in different housing developments outside their door, you know, just right there like it used to be, it's a different kind of thing. It's not like they'll get so entrenched in the gang, they'll get more involved in these kinds of activities. So we're really pushing for that.
I want to put a plug out to all the adults out there, you know, people, you know, younger than me, but we don't need them. Well, a few old people can come too, but I'm saying people will have something to give back or want to give back. You know, we've got the Boys and Girls Club, we got National Action Network. You want to get involved with the political scene, come to National Action Network on Saturdays. I'm there streaming every Saturday. You can come up and speak to me if you want. If you want to be a mentor, if you got something you want to give back, you want to learn TV production, I'm there for you. The Gilchrist Experience, I've been in here at M&N for since 97, 98, when it opened, okay? But there's so much stuff out there. This village is huge.
If I may say, I feel like the only way, you know, one of the ways to stop crime is to stop the violence and crime in our communities, if we find out the reasons why it's happening. So it's time for us, you know, to start going to the detention centers and the jails and the prisons, and we have to find out why young people are doing the things they're doing, because that's the only way we can prevent it, is if we know why it's triggering in the first place. We have to sit down, we have to take the time, you have to, you know, just do it. We have to start going to the detention centers and sitting down and say, you know, what was your home life like? You know, did you go to school? You know, we have to ask them these questions because we have to result to some sort of answer that's going to, you know, a solution. We can get solutions from young people, and we have to find out, you know, why are they doing this in the first place? And I feel like once we find that out is when we can start, you know, putting measures in place to prevent it from happening.
Well, one of the problems is that just like KENDRELL suggested that when you know the traps are out there, and you just have to make sure that young people are available to get the information. And one of the reasons I promote National Action Network, because we have these youthful exposures.
Absolutely.
I mean, if any of the adults that want to come, bring your child that you're having a problem
or
with.
your neighbor's child.
Or your neighbor's child, or a cousin, or aunt.
At the huddle.
And once we get here, and you got to see the huddle on Monday nights. Oh,
yeah, we've
man.
seen so many talents, new talents, revealed, and we've seen people who, didn't think they could sing, just belt out a song, and we've had young people, young boys, we've had them sing, we've had, dancing, we just always poetry, spoken word. We've had so many, we've had young people, we've had Miss Guinea, 2014, speak and talk about, child sex trafficking. We've had so many, we've had so many positive influences at the huddle, and it's amazing. It really is, because
and tomorrow's Thursday, and every Thursday, the last Thursday of every month at National Action Network, 106 145th Street, we have Legal Night. Now, you got a problem with legal matters, you come to National Action Network on the last Thursday of each month. So that's tomorrow night. You got a problem with a cop beat you in the head and took all your money?
Well, we're having some young people from Manhattanville, not young people, but parents, that will be showing up that needs support and services at Legal Night.
All right, so everybody should come to Legal Night tomorrow night at National Action Network, again, 106 West 145th Street.
We also want to mention the Lions. I'm going to let Miss IESHA speak a little bit more on this, but we've seen we've had people call in and tell us how I'm going to let you go into it.
The huddle has taken leadership with the Lions. We support making sure that the Lion happens in a certain kind of way to have an impact, but the National Action Network Youth Move Huddle has taken leadership in Newark.
It is in Newark. I was there at the Apollo, and we were in the rain. Because we feel like if kids can get shot in the rain, if violence can happen in the rain, we can lay down and try to prevent it. In the rain, because our ancestors, they didn't stop when it was raining. They didn't stop marching. When it was raining. It was pouring.
And young people laid down,
and we laid down on the street on garbage bags in the middle of 125th Street. We stopped
and tell them why. Tell them why.
And it was we wanted to make sure that we wanted to show people that we're coming out, and the young people. We want to show that young people are taking a stand, because we're tired of seeing against gun violence. We're tired of seeing young people in coffins. There shouldn't even be a size that small of a coffin for a young person. And it's absolutely mind blowing that we have to go to a funeral for a young 4-year-old boys. It is. It's becoming way too common.
And young people are standing up.
Right. We're taking a stand
and saying we're going to take leadership in eliminating gun and gang violence.
Right.
And I think that's wonderful.
KENDRELL?
Basically, I really support Street Corner Resources through everything they do, because I felt like we really helped some kids that have come to our program, because they do give them an alternative to the streets and stuff, especially through our music program. And I actually see some of these kids actually feel happy and feel like they have a home to actually come to.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
I want to thank you guys for showing up today.
It was great.
This was real fun for me. It's a real joy to be around youthful energy and to have, as an old man, something to say.
Experienced.
And thank you for coming to the Gilchrist Experience. The God in me loves the God in you. And stay tuned next week. We have some more stuff for you. God bless. All right.